Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, chapter 941 of One Piece is out, so if you haven't checked out that chapter yet, I suggest that you do so because I will be spoiling you. But now that you have, let's begin. So yeah, I think that we should all prepare for the end of Act 2 and the start of Act 3 relatively soon because, oh man, this story arc of Arc 2 is about to come to a head. All hell is about to break loose. It is going to be absolutely insane, at least based on everything that Oda has set up. It all seems to be leading to this moment. So on one hand, you have Luffy and Queen in the prison, Big Mom on the way. This chapter pretty much told us, heavy-handedly suggested that Big Mom will rage. Luffy ate the remaining food that Big Mom was craving, and we know how this kind of thing works out. Sanji is not there to cook. For some reason, I have it in me, and I'm not exactly sure why I have this. I want to argue, and maybe this is sort of confirmation of how biased I am. Maybe this is my own realization of my own bias, but I want to argue that this is some sort of misdirection and then Oda won't have Big Mom rage. But when I really think about it, I have no idea why it is that I want to say that. Confirmation that I just talk to talk. But yeah, like sitting down and thinking about it, I'm like, regardless of whether or not Big Mom rages here or rages in the future, I like that direction of the story, and it doesn't really matter where it happens first. The only thing that I really want to avoid, or I feel like I want to avoid based on past experiences, is specifically all the complaints from Whole Cake Island. I would like for Oda to avoid any situation in which Big Mom essentially rampages across, Wano for an extended period of time while raging. I want her to rage, I expect her to rage, but I'm hoping that the event is at least in some way contained. So as you guys will know, my huge headcanon surrounding Big Mom is that she will eventually become an ally and that she has a sickness, she has an illness that these strats need to begin to help her overcome. And the first step in order to make this possible is for Chopper to realize that her condition is very similar to the children in Punk Hazard. This turns her into a sort of sympathetic figure. And of course, if Big Mom rages while at the prison, then this would be an ideal opportunity for Chopper to really have a moment to analyze her and to diagnose her. But as far as keeping this event contained, where Big Mom just isn't set loose across Wano, there's not too many, as far as I can see, general possibilities to allow that to happen. On one hand, you could possibly defeat Big Mom. Now, Big Mom is not her normal self. She doesn't have her memories. Many people question, what her strength level would be in this current mindset. But I personally think that because her body is so tough, defeating a Yonko, even without her memories, you're towing a fine line there. Another possibility is just to produce the food that she wants. Now, I don't know how difficult Oshiruko, or however it is that you pronounce it, how difficult it is to make. And I figure that there's some ingredients to be found possibly in the prison. We know that there's at least mochi balls that they feed the prisoners normally. There may also be an uncontaminated farm nearby because there seems to be farms located at all the major centers of population, potentially. But I think all things considered, that's a tough sell. It's specifically stated that there's no food in Wano, so acquiring the ingredients first off, and then having somebody cook adept at producing this quickly, it's a tough sell. I'm not going to rule it out entirely. It's certainly possible, but not something that I would specifically believe in or speculate. And so my other idea, and this is a huge callback to one of my Whole Cake Island theories that was completely trashed at the time, but essentially the idea is that there's some sort of overpowered move which could be used to stop Big Mom without it necessarily being classified as what I would consider to be a straight-up defeat, like if you had Luffy fight against Big Mom and hurt her. The idea in Whole Cake Island was that Bobbin would use his abilities, which were a hypnosis, to put Big Mom to sleep. Now, do you have somebody potentially in the prison who can do something like this? An idea, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to throw this out here. I don't believe this at all. But like, for instance, the Big Mom was essentially stuck within Caribou. Or an ability like hypnosis or something like that to put her to sleep. I actually take back the Caribou thing completely. I regret saying it. I'm going to keep it in the video probably, but no. Either way, a huge wild card here that Oda has at his disposal, given we don't know enough about him, is Kawamatsu. It suggested that he's pretty important to the cause, and specifically Grandpa Hyo absolutely needs to get him out. So I feel like he's going to play a very critical role in whatever this event that's going to take place shortly in the prison. So maybe he has the ability that is relevant to something like this. But yeah, if Big Mom is not straight up defeated, incapacitated with some sort of overpowered hacks move, or is fed whatever it is that she is craving, what we're likely to see is Big Mom rampaging across Wano. And I mean, you know what the reaction is going to be to that. Will I feel that way? We will see, depending on how it is shown. But this is not certainly currently something that I would be rooting for. So maybe this is why I didn't want Big Mom to rage right here. See, intuitively, I already know what speculations I believe without even thinking about it. But what I do want to say before we move on to the next slide is what we should always keep in mind, that as far as storytelling is concerned, it's always more exciting from a reader perspective to not exactly know how the heroes are going to get out of a precarious situation. So in layman's terms, Oda could have conceived of a way for the strats to get Big Mom out of her rage that currently we don't know. But yeah, all of this being said about Big Mom raging, I still don't think that it is guaranteed that she will rage. Now, obviously all the signs point in that direction. It's very clear that Oda wants us to think that. But it could be misdirection, it could be a red herring, Oda could still be saving it for later, and there is some logic and some rationale that he could use to justify this. Remember, when Big Mom was 5 years old and she was craving the Simla, she lasted, I think it was 8 days? Regardless, it was some very long period of time in comparison to the time that Big Mom has been in Wano so far. So theoretically, Big Mom could last a bit longer. But one thing about this whole situation that has me concerned, it seems like a direction that Oda could take this that would be very interesting, is if Queen at some point in time, or Luffy really, reveals that he is the one to have eaten all of the food that Big Mom was looking forward to on her way over here. I think that there are several ways to make this possible. First off, Queen seems to have noticed that Luffy gained weight. Simultaneously, he'll realize that he doesn't have any more Oshiruko, and you put 2 and 2 together, Queen seems like a semi-intelligent dude. It's like, bro, you ate all my food. You say that loud enough with Big Mom and the ability to hear or the ability to learn, then she might think that Luffy is selfish. Simultaneously, Chopper could go up to Luffy asking about the food, which he hopes to find here, and then Luffy just says brazenly, oh yeah, I ate all of it. It was delicious. So yeah, this direction of the story would really change things quite significantly if we're pretty soon heading into Act 3, where Big Mom might view Luffy as an enemy, might view him as selfish, if something like this were to happen. Or she could straight up rage. Either way, with this, time will tell. I'm definitely excited to see how all of this eventually goes down, but again, I want to reiterate that the conclusion of all of these events should result in the Strats acquiring a mass amount of new followers from the prisoners. Which honestly seems like it's going to be a trend of Act 2, because moving to the other major storyline right now, which is Komurasaki's funeral and Yasuo's execution, that seems to be leading in the very same direction. The Strats acquiring many new allies. But yeah, let's not skip over Yasuo here. So Yasuo's being executed. He was the Witching Hour boy, as well as a former daimyo, loyal to the Kozuki. I do not want to understate how unbelievably hyped I am for the conclusion of this story arc, because it seems like the creme de la creme of Act 2. This seems like everything that Oda has been working towards and has the most potential for both awesomeness and epicness and subverting our expectations in a way that is intelligent. But yeah, it seems like Yasuo is about to have his Whitebeard moment. Keep in mind that we've talked about the parallels pre and post time skip. Wano parallels Marineford, and right now we have all the cameras panned in on Komurasaki's funeral and Yasuo's execution. So in the same situation in Marineford, Whitebeard declared that the One Piece does exist. Yasuo is getting ready to make a huge speech and say whatever is on his mind, which is, it's pretty much a Whitebeard moment, / a little bit of Ace thrown in there. It's very consistent with how we've theorized that Oda parallels things between the two halves of the story. But anyway, guys, there are several ways that I want to speculate this, all of which hype me, but I also want to throw in the idea, and we're going to start off here, I guess, is that Yasu is actually not about to have a Whitebeard moment, even though I kind of just argued that he's about to have a Gold D Roger moment. During his execution, Roger exclaimed to the world, "If you wish to find my treasure, go out to sea." We've talked about this in a lot of videos at length, analyzing it, but in my opinion, essentially what Roger was doing was he was recruiting people across the world to go become pirates and search out the One Piece. To essentially find the person who will eventually do or finish the job that he couldn't. He was looking for his successor. I've already seen people sort of question this already on Twitter. Yasu acted as the Witching Hour boy for a very long time, and he managed to escape capture every single time. Isn't it just kind of odd? Isn't it, like at the moment that Yasu finally tells everyone, "Yeah, I'm going to recruit everybody onto your squad. We're going to join in on the fight." It's then that he gets captured. How unfortunate. How ironic. I think that this situation begs the question, did Yasu purposefully turn himself in because this is how he thinks that it would be best for him to recruit all of the followers onto the Kozuki side? Is this entire thing Yasu's plan? With all the cameras panned at him at this exact moment, is he about to recruit essentially all of Wano to face off against Orochi? One thing that is very clear is that Yasu is a hero. Wano absolutely loves him. If Orochi were to kill him, which is clearly his intention, it's stupid. You don't create a martyr. That's exactly what Orochi is doing right now. Whatever he ends up saying in his last moments to essentially all of Wano, again, all the cameras are directed at him right now, those people will take it to heart. He will have created a cause. This is the kind of event that would lead to a revolution. But yeah, guys, if this is all part of Yasu's scheme, then this is next level, this is top tier, and I don't know how Orochi himself would be able to counter it. The common folk have power in numbers. When their cause is unified, they can affect great change, even if they aren't individually all that significant or powerful. You have to realize that Orochi's entire society is built off of essentially using the poor. If they all pick up arms and revolt, you can't kill them all. You can't imprison them all because they do things that are vital for your economy. If Yasu is able to create a fervor strong enough that these people are willing to die for their cause, that spells doom in Wano. Orochi loses, GG. But this isn't the only way to speculate this, and honestly, as you guys know from my last theory, I don't expect Orochi to be the final antagonist and to be the shogun by the time that all of this fighting starts. I'm looking at Kiyoshiro. Orochi seems like he has all of the cards stacked against him. I mean, he even said in this chapter, two of the most popular people in all of Wano, one being executed at the other's funeral. How ironic. Yeah, Orochi, that's not a good thing. That's how you piss off an entire nation and get yourself deposed. No one will stand behind you. As I said in my last video, based on everything that we've got in Wano, Orochi is essentially in power because of Kaido. If somebody attacks or wrongs the shogun, then he calls upon Kaido, and then Kaido validates his power. But as was suggested previously and confirmed or reiterated in this last chapter, Orochi is making enemies now of Kaido's own crew of Queen. She loves Komurasaki and is saddened by her death. The person at fault is Orochi, and everyone, it seems like, is beginning to realize this. So imagine after Yasu makes his speech and potentially he rouses the entire country and riots begin. They're already mad because of Komurasaki's death. What is Orochi's first response to this? Call Kaido. Call his subordinates. Have them defend me. Have them kill everybody. I mean, support my rule. And, if they call somebody like Queen, or if Queen has any voice or say in the matter, he might just be like, well, I guess it was his time. He basically killed Komurasaki. It is because of him that she is now dead. This is how Yasu's execution could quickly turn into Orochi's execution. And to top it off, as we've seen throughout Wano so far, the people that he's surrounded himself, Kiyoshiro and the other important people in Wano, aside from maybe the ninja, they're not loyal to him. They don't respect him. This is the moment where Kiyoshiro can really step in and make himself the shogun. And as I speculated in my video, this might also be something that Kaido foresaw, and Kaido intends on, or Kaido supports. Kiyoshiro, in my opinion, would make for a better shogun as far as Kaido is concerned. And so earlier I brought up the idea that it's just kind of random for Yasu to have been captured as the witching hour boy now. Now of all times, this is the time that you are captured. And we obviously speculate that maybe he purposefully turned himself in because he wants to use this as a platform to make himself a martyr. Another way to argue this is that Kiyoshiro always had the ability to capture him, but knew who he was, knew what role he played in the society, and was waiting until an opportunity such as now to use his capture against the shogun in order to depose him and replace him. And I think the real evidence for Kiyoshiro being this next level, this hardcore and capable of a schemer, is the fact that we have two of the Wano country's most popular people essentially dying bang bang, one after another. And in my opinion, it's very, very easy to argue that Kiyoshiro purposefully orchestrated Komurasaki's death. Something I mentioned on Twitter in my last video, I want to say it again here. Komurasaki didn't have to die. Orochi wasn't necessarily going to kill her, even though the offense that she committed was an unnegotiable. Like, from her defying Orochi, it meant that she had to die, but Orochi may not necessarily have pulled the trigger. He might have been smarter than that. As popular as she was, and as much as Orochi cared for her, or at least her beauty, he could have imprisoned her, tried to get her to change her mind, or sent her to the prisons where it wasn't necessarily big news, or had somebody else assassinate her where it wasn't directly tied to him. Basically, there was many ways, many outs for Orochi in that moment if Komurasaki hadn't, quote, died then and there. Kiyoshiro essentially forced his hand by killing her in the moment. He put the blame of her death squarely on the shogun's shoulders in a way that he could not avoid. That was essentially a checkmate move. That's intelligent, and it seems purposeful. So yeah, to me, it's not out of the question that in a moment like this, where you know that all hell is about to break loose, that you pull your trump card as well and capture Yasu, who you could have at any point in time over the past year or more, but you've been saving it for a special occasion, a double whammy. But yeah, guys, as I said, I'm so incredibly hyped to see how this plays out. I don't know if I can express in words, but I don't just want to limit you to these two thoughts. These are just, sort of my scenario, but there's many other things that are possible. You also don't forget that Toko, Komurasaki, and Zoro are on their way, and obviously something should happen from that. That should play some kind of role. I mean, Komurasaki essentially would be coming back from the grave during her own funeral. At that point, Oda would have gone full Jesus. Potentially, you could see Kiyoshiro accept credit for that, essentially, like, the Shogun was going to kill him, but I spared her, I saved her, or any number of other shenanigans. Keep in mind that Wano believes in ghosts, and they've had several opportunities to reaffirm this belief recently. Brook has been posing as a ghost. So it's no guarantee that if Komurasaki arrived, they would assume that she would be the real one, that she would still be alive. They may just assume that she is straight up a ghost. And on top of this, I wouldn't be surprised to see Yasu specifically name drop Kinemon, Kandro, Raizo, all of those people that are supposed to be dead. Again, could make sense to label them as ghosts. Come back to haunt and get revenge and defeat the Shogun. But yeah, guys, that seems to be basically what we got from this chapter. Honestly, you could probably talk about this for a lot longer. There's still a ton of possibility, but I really like how everything is sort of coming together, and yet we still don't know really how it will all play out. The only other thing from this chapter that maybe is worth mentioning is, is Oda setting up Komurasaki x Zoro? Is that, are we shipping that now? I'll be honest, guys, despite the absurd amount of information and panels supporting, justifying, removing all suspicion from Komurasaki, I can't help but think, like, girl, what are you trying to do here? You don't even know him. A small part of me still sees a lot of potential in Komurasaki being a loyal subordinate of Kiyoshiro, who is not an ally of the Straw Hats' cause. And as far as the part of the chapter that focused on the fire occurring in Curry, I don't see this ending well either. I don't know if Oda maybe is inspired by the California wildfires, but that's where I see this going. Wano literally burned to the ground. And maybe this provides Big Mom an opportunity to save Wano. I'm not sure why or she would do that, but she definitely has the capability. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I had to say today. As always, I'm curious as to what you guys think, whether you noticed something from the chapter that I may have missed. Just share your thoughts. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.